everyone for joining us this evening. I'm Sandro Tejada, Director of Major Gifts and our Seton Hall Parents Program. We're also joined by a wonderful colleague of mine that just joined our team, Safina Amzad.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Thank you for joining us. And we're excited to have this virtual meeting with Dr. Joseph Martinelli, who shared a little bit about himself, our Interim Dean of the College of Education and Human Services. I just want to share a little bit about last week, which was so exciting. There was such an amazing amount of wonderful events and activities on campus, from Alex Rodriguez's visit to campus on last Monday to Ricardo Illy's appearance for the Provost Impact Talk on Friday afternoon. We also had an amazing scholarship reception where maybe some of your students attended, where they were able to meet some of their donors last Wednesday evening. And that's great work of our colleagues at Donor Relations. And other highlights of the week include, we had an alumnus, Tony Galliardo, speaking to our students at the Inanue Institute, as well as the session on the history of women peacemakers, presented by 2011 Nobel Peace Prize laureate Leima Gaboui, who's a member of our Board of Advisors for our School of Diplomacy and International Relations. We also heard from an astounding group of entrepreneurial alumni who served as judges. It was kind of like a Shark Tank style for the Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship's Pirates Pitch. I don't know if any of you were able to participate in that and listen in to some of our wonderful students who are going to be tremendous entrepreneurs. Also, we had Dean Strasser welcome some of our accepted students and their parents, and numerous alumni volunteers at the Intrepid Museum. And this Saturday, I imagine, Joe, you were there. We hosted our Pirate Preview, which was our admitted student event. We had approximately, I think, hopefully 1,000 future pirates visit our beautiful campus. And today, we had the U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, speak to our students at Bethany Hall. What a great talk. I just want to give you an inside look of how things have gone back to normal. And I think your students, and you probably heard it from them, it really is back to having that college experience that they, had prior to the pandemic. And so it was really exciting to see students in the flesh, see their smiling faces, and to be exposed to some wonderful alums and professionals. And again, before we begin, I just do some housekeeping. Just please kindly mute yourself. And if you have any questions during this meeting, please use the live chat feature to share your questions, or use the raise your hand icon on the top right of your screen to ask your questions until our Q&A session. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Joseph Martinelli. Joe, I had this intro for you, but I think you kind of shared a little bit more about your experience, and maybe you want to share a little bit about when you started at higher ed. So I'll spare everyone the long intro and let you share who you are. And thank you again for joining us this evening and to share some wonderful updates with our parents. And thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my pleasure. And if I knew that the Adams were on and the Youngbergers were on, I would say we would go to Polar Cub and get ice cream. But we could have met up there. And if you're over here in Branchburg, I feel it's the best soft serve ice cream in this region. So if you're out this way, go to Polar Cub. That's my recommendation. It's pretty good. Yeah, so like I started earlier, my background's and I always like when I teach, and I've taught for a long time, I always felt as a student, and Serafina, I thank God he introduced you as a student. I was going to think you must be the youngest parent on this whole thing. Thank God I was like, oh my God, how old is her daughter? She looks great. So Serafina, when I bounce off the student, what I always ask as a student, I think Serafina probably does, is I used to wonder, how did this person get to the front of the room? Like what's their background? And I tell my students, even to this day, always ask their professor, what really makes them, what are they bringing in? What are they qualified for? And Seraph, you ever wonder that, Seraph? You know you've had classes and you're like, how'd they get that job, right? You can not, yeah, okay. So I started in academia. I started at William Patterson, and I did my background is in public relations. So my background as an undergrad was communications, which I think is a great background to go in and do. And I was public relations, and the PR people will get a little in the educate. But I used to say, if you do PR, you can do teaching, because PR is basically teaching of whether it's Spacely Sprockets from the Jetsons. It's a good reference. You got to know what you're teaching, and teaching gives you a foundation to do a lot of different things, and I'll touch on that in a minute. So a person came up to me at a game I was working and said, I've been watching you. And I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. And she goes, no, can you design a course in what you do to teach at Fairleigh Dickinson? It was Madison. Now it's Florham Park. I said, yeah, I love what I do. So I designed a course in sports I never designed a course in my life. I learned how to do a syllabus, laid it out, found the book. I have it signed by the author. And I taught this class at FDU Madison. And my wife at that time, I was probably in my 10th year at William Patterson. I came home and she goes, you're liking this. I said, this is great. I love teaching. I should. Well, my father was in the school district. He was an administrator. And as everyone who has a son or a daughter can contest, we don't listen to our parents, right? And the parents are going, yeah, they'll listen to a stranger. Well, my father always said, become a teacher. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to teach. I don't want to be in that career. But there I am as a 49-year-old man. I'm like, I love this. So she gave me a year to get my teaching degree. I went back and I became a teacher through Seton Hall. She worked at Seton Hall then. She literally just retired a month ago. So Mark, pray for me because she's home all the time. I'm waiting to come home and see the kitchen completely rearranged. I know it's going to happen. She's done that. You ever have that? You come in like, where is everything? It's all arranged. So I started teaching and did West Essex, and then got offered to go teach in Henderson, Nevada. Now my son was little then. And I'm like, I don't think I want to raise my son in Las Vegas. I mean, it would be kind of a weird thing. And at the same time, position opened at Seton Hall, and I just jumped in at Seton Hall teaching technology, which is my background. And there I've been now 22 years. I've taught, came in as a professor. I've served as a chair. I served as a program director. I was the academic dean for academic affairs, otherwise known as, and Serafina, you can quote me. The academic dean for academic affairs is known as the tears and chocolate dean, because when they come in the office, you just slide the Kleenex over and you always have chocolate so everybody can feel a little right. And I've done that. And then in this past year, our previous dean left. And I said, I don't want to work for another dean at this point. I want to, I think I know the unit well enough and I want to take that expertise. And I interviewed, and this is how I am. So I've done, I like to say, I think I've done everything in the unit that there is. When I was at William Patterson, I was also a fraternity advisor. So I've been there and done that. Sandro, I don't recommend that, because every Monday, I would be called into the Dean of Students office with an issue from whatever happened over the weekend. So that was a tough one, but it was fun. I got to know a lot of people. And now, ironically, my students who I worked with back in '85 are now retiring. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still going at it. What's going on here? Especially people who have been teachers and so forth. At Immaculata, I had a Thomas Welsh. I don't know if he still was there teaching. He was one of my students. He did social studies. I don't know if Tommy's still there.
No, he left. He was gone before the girls got there. So, yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And I've had teachers out of the elementary school that have been in my program from Immaculata. If anybody works in a Catholic school and you want to come back to grad school, it is offered at a 50% discount, by the way. So it's a really good deal for a graduate program to come into Seton Hall. That's part of our policies. So that's where I'm at. I lived in Verona. So I don't know if I have any Essex County people. You can put thumbs up if you did. We lived in Verona for a long time. And I've been out here in Branchburg in central New Jersey. So Sandro, there is a central New Jersey. And I've been here since my family and I've been here since 2005. My son is a proud Seton Hall alumnus. Going to be 3 times eventually. He went through education, did K through 6, got middle school social studies, middle school science, has enough credits for math, and he has special ed. Got offered a teaching job in Somerville in middle school, right out of school, taught for nearly a year, and came home and said, I don't want to do this anymore. And as a parent and the dean, I was like, oh, come on, really? What are you going to do? And he goes, I don't know. He didn't have a good middle school experience. And he just, middle school's tough anyway. And he took a year, came back. And this is where an education degree, in my mind, and I tell parents at open houses, and Serafina, I don't know what your major is. And it's a foundation that gives you a foundation that you can do anything. You can do human resources, you can do training, if you wanted to do marketing, if you wanted to do PR, because it teaches you how to plan, how to assess, how to reflect, how to research, how to write, how to communicate. It's an amazing degree to do that. And so for what my son did, he kind of pivoted. I said, if you're going, he said, I think I'm going to go to grad school and do PR. I'm like, oh man, I've done that. It's but he did. He came back. He got his master's in PR. Then he worked for a year with the PGA Tour. He set up the Ridgewood Golf Tournament. It was the Northern Trust. And what did he do? I'm going to tell you, Mark. He literally trained the volunteers. What is that? That's teaching. So he trained over, I think it was 1,300 volunteers. And along the way, he made the connection. He got a job where he works for Hackensack Medical School now. And he is sorry, Serafina, good to put your title in there. She's the affinity person. And he now teaches doctors how to teach college. So, and he's going for an MHA at Seton Hall. So I'm like, it's pretty cool. So he's teaching doctors how to teach, but he's using all of his knowledge that was exposed to him at Seton Hall. So that's my plug for education as a major. It truly is. I mean, and I tell the students, you graduate with a professional degree that no one can ever take away from you. So you may not teach right away, but you may hit a point in your life, say, I want to go teach. And you have your certification and your degree, and you can teach and have a career. And it's pretty good. So, and Sarah said, I got to she put a good thing, because I thought she was a student. She corrected me. She is the Associate Director of Affinity Engagement. I don't know what affinity means, but is it like explain yourself, Serafina?
Hi. So sorry. I joined in a little late, so I missed the introductions, but my name is Safina Amzad Waters. I work over in Alumni and Engagement. I partner with Sandro to we focus on the parent aspect of my job description with Sandro. So that's why I'm joining the conversation here today. But I'm new to my field. I recently obtained a master's in public administration. So I fell in love with higher ed. So I'm here working as the Associate Director of Affinity Engagement. And what that means is that I engage the alumni after you graduate. I'd be the main contact person to keep the at least the young alums as well, engage with the school. So that requires us planning various year-round events for our alums to keep them involved with Seton Hall. And that includes parents, creating parent programs and events for you guys to come back to as well. We want to keep that Seton Hall connection strong. But you're not wrong to call me a student. I feel like I graduated a year ago with the master's. I'm considering going back to school. The ED program at Seton Hall has got my eye on that. So who knows, maybe in a year from now, I will will also be a student again. So, but I am exploring other options, and the ED program is extremely attractive to me. So I love this department. So I'm here to actually hear what you have to say as well from the, maybe a applying student perspective. So happy to be here.
Yep, I'll give you a recommendation. So ED is Ed Leadership, and if you're looking for an amazing individual to talk about it, email Katie Smith, Dr. Katie Smith. She, in all my years, she's probably one of the most gifted and talented researchers, and just a great person overall. And her research is not just in education, but also in why aren't more women in STEM. So she's
very interesting. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, Katie's amazing. You're gonna love her. She was our teacher of the year for College of Ed, and she also is going to get our Schreitmuller Teacher of the Year recipient next week. We're going to have an alumni event. So now I have to ask you: do you answer usually to affinity and beyond? Oh, that's infinity. I'm sorry. That's a bad Toy Story joke. So.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, by the way, just saying.
I did too.
My son would say that's a dad joke. So yeah, we got him. So good. Well, welcome, and I'm glad you're with us.
Thank you.
Any question? Okay, you want me to? Any questions for me? I don't know if you've heard we're going to have a little bit of a merger, or have you heard a little background on that? So let me fill you in a little bit, because even some of our students I met yesterday at the SGA swearing in go, is that still going on? Yeah. So what we're really going to do, hello, you have somebody behind you, DS. There you go. Hello. She's photobombing you. Okay. So what we're doing is, she's not even reacting. Okay. So what we're going to do is I don't call it a merger, because a merger usually means somebody's eating somebody else up. It's like Pac-Man in my mind, waka, waka, waka. So this is more of a creation of a new unit. The provost they did a research, and they said that Calm Arts and College of Ed will combine into one college. Now, what does that mean? That means the way the structure is right now, there still is going to be two schools. There'll be School of Education, School of Calm Arts, but there'll be one administrative umbrella top. The faculty are not going to be impacted on this. What may be impacted is some of the administrative duties are shifted. So this will be a seamless transition for students. They shouldn't have any effect on that at all. Seamless transition for faculty. But from the faculty perspective, we're really looking for some innovative and interdisciplinary programs to come out of it. Maybe out of the ed leadership, maybe an ed leadership with a public relations minor that would benefit school people. Maybe we can take we are going to take some of our undergrad tracks, but open into, I'm investigating to see if we can get a certification as a television instruction, which is through the DOE. We couldn't do it on our own because we don't have a TV major, but we do now if we have Calm Arts. I've been looking at the DOE on that, and there's only, I think, 3 schools in New Jersey that even offer that certification. So that's kind of a neat track, considering most high schools have a TV program now that some people teach it. We're looking at different options on that. We've been in discussions, College of Ed. I formed a committee right away to explore this name, structure, and so forth in the fall. College of Arts started that in the spring. So hopefully it is going to happen. By June, we're going to have our new name announcement. What would be the name of the school? Almost like coming soon, and we'll be able to start branding what we're going to be. It's kind of an amazing time. It's intense. I usually have 3 different meetings a week with groups on what this program is going to be. And I work closely with Calm Arts. We have what we call task forces that are focusing on different things. And even as little as, okay, we have Ed Leadership Management and Policy, which is a lovely $50 title. But my thing is, well, isn't education leadership? Doesn't it mean management and policy? Why does it need to be separate? Could you rebrand that as ed leadership, right? So there's different things that you probably never considered that we're looking at, like what would make it new and exciting. Because if you look at historically in New Jersey, because New Jersey has so many schools and they kind of offer the same thing, and what makes us different? What makes, especially on a graduate level, Sarah's in a 4+2. I think a couple other people's daughter or child are in 4+2s. You know, what can we do that's different that can advance and bring our alums through? Another goal that I have personally since I've been here is I don't think we utilize, and I'm glad I'm meeting both of, I have both you guys from alumni on here. We've not really utilized the education alums enough. We've not reconnected, and I think we need to do that. And if I got to hear one more time, oh, well, teachers don't make money, they don't want to be connected, they don't want to, it's poppycock. I grew up in education. I started some different events. We had an event out in Flounder and Hillsborough. We had a little thing in the fall, started a different. We have an event next week if you send me your email on a chat or whatever, I'll invite you to come to McClune's next Thursday. I believe it's Thursday. We're having an alumni education event if you want to join. I'll invite you, personal guests, no fee. It's just we want you to come and we'll get you a drink and some food, and you can meet some people if you're out there in McClune's and West Orange. So you can send me an email and we'll put you down there. It should be good. And we've already blasted it out to a lot of alums that are interested. I think we need to engage with our alums, and that's a goal of mine. And it's also, as a parent of a student who went through Seton Hall, it's funny, as a parent, our kids graduate, and then we're like, you know, okay, what do we do now, right? It's occupied our life. So there really needs to be an involvement from the parents. And I would like to have some type of parent group or maybe even a parent advisory board to come in and talk about if they want to stay active. You're always going to have parents that don't want to, you know, the kids are done, I'm good, I'm going to go to the beach. But if you want to stay involved, because I know even my own self, and this is true, my wife, God bless, I love her, she loves to sew. She's in a few quilt clubs. So when my son was in Somerville, she used to work with the plays and make the costumes. Okay. My son graduated in 2012. My wife still volunteers at Somerville making the costumes. And I'm like, honey, we don't have any kids here anymore. Yeah, but I love this. I stay connected. So why can't we take that type of connectedness to parents who want to be connected and form a Seton Hall bond that way, right? And there's more than just basketball at Seton Hall. We do it with basketball all the time. Oh, we have basketball, and they come in and, you know, but there's more to Seton Hall than just basketball. It's a community. And that's one of the goals that I want to see us improve. And Sandra's nodding, and I think he agrees with me on that.
Totally agree. I think the two initiatives that I think most parents raise their hand that they want to be involved with is professional development, like helping our students either with internship opportunities, either providing career advice, especially because we do have a good amount of parents that are teachers that provide wealth of knowledge, connections, their networks. So that's one way, and I would love to work with you, Joe, on that, because I think that's where we're focusing a lot of our energy to engage parents at a very high level. And I think our students would love that, just because, you know, they're concerned about, right, their future and what's out there, and it's teaching my role, especially now with the combination of communication, you know, the merger, as you mentioned. I think there is a lot of opportunities. And the other, as you mentioned, that we've really engaged parents the last 8 years, is help us recruit. You know, they're our best marketers. They're the ones with word of mouth and sharing. Hey, Seton Hall is a great place to learn. I can tell you why. My son and daughter have had a tremendous experience, like you, Joe, with your son. I think you probably share that story with others. But our parents have really made a difference. And I tell admissions, I think the growth of our, you know, every year we see the growth of the incoming class. And I think it has a lot to do with our parents really sharing, you know, that with their sphere of influence. And I think we could do a lot more of it, but it's, you know, it's time and effort. And I think, you know, we've done that, and we've seen it. And I think we've seen parents really step up to the plate, and we've been fortunate to work with so many incredible, talented parents. So I agree with you.
It's a resource that I think education needs to touch upon. And it's true. We have so many parents who in open houses, oh, what do you do? Well, I'm a teacher. And I'm like, boy, we could do a whole network of, I'm sure we have some teachers on this call that we can use and touch base with. And that's really a goal of mine. And it's one of the things I think as a parent that we really need to do. I've talked a lot. So is there anything anybody has particular? I can talk. Remember, I'm a former faculty. I'm programmed for 2.5 hours. So
yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I know I've received some questions from parents. But if anyone that's on this call, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask away.
Or complaints, you can do that too. I don't mind.
Joe, it's
Yes.
Lisa Youngberg. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for teachers as they graduate?
Well, that's a great question, Lisa. You know what? There's going to be jobs, so that's not going to be the challenge. There is a massive shortage in teachers right now. The challenge is to avoid that first year burnout, which happened to my son. And I think the challenge is going to be to get a support structure or find when they look for jobs to make sure they're going into a district where there is a support structure and a mentorship program that is rich and dynamic. You know, and unfortunately for my son, he did not have a mentor, and she actually admitted that she failed him in the end. If you have a good mentor and you have somebody to support you and you realize there's something more to life than just the job, then it'll help. And I think that's the biggest challenge. And you know what's kind of funny, Lisa, you brought up a great, all the education majors I've ever met, 99.9% of them are overachievers. And they really want to do well. So, and you got to make time for yourself and pick a day that's just for yourself. Because I've never met so many students that are hard workers. So I hope that gave you, and a support structure of the family in that school. That support in that school is key because they're going to get job offers. They are going to get job offers. They can't find teachers. In fact, certain states now are doing it without certification, which I find insulting. But that's my biggest tip.
And is it true that they're looking to get rid of the Ed TPA?
Oh, bless you. Yes. Thank God. Unless you like it.
I haven't heard anything good about it, but I was just wondering, having had one child go through it, but it was before it was official. It was the year before it became a requirement. And now with one on the horizon, I'm just, I've not read anything good about it, and it didn't sound like a great use of time.
No, it's not. It's an exercise that came out of Stanford that really has not proven to help teachers at all. It's a moneymaker. It doesn't assess anything. It doesn't assess your quality of teaching. And it should be, yes, it's true that that's coming soon, that they're going to eliminate that. And I can't wait. It's what it's doing to our students is taking, and firsthand, it's taking valuable time when they student teach and should be discussing what's going on, how can I improve, to where it's a time suck to complete this Ed TPA package.
Yeah.
And I know Sarah Adams is doing it right now. I know this is she might be done already, but it's a time suck, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, Sarah.
Hallelujah.
Sarah, she did complete hers about 2 weeks ago, and the week she was just, she was so happy once it was done. And then I had said to her, because I heard on 101.5 that they were talking about that, and she said, "Are you kidding me?" She said, "I just."
That's what she submitted it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible process.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christy said it was torturous. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it proves nothing. Nothing.
And actually, I think when she did finish it, she did come home that weekend, and we did go to Polar Cup. So
Yeah, there
we
you go.
did,
There you
yeah,
go.
because we did take her once. That was the one time that it opened. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
Early spring.
that was an
Yeah,
early,
you
yeah,
deserve
early,
that. You know, with
absolutely.
sprinkles or jimmies, whichever you have.
Sprinkles.
What is, oh, we have a question in the chat.
Yep.
So let me open my chat. It's a great question. What is the most common mistake a recent education graduate may make in their first year out of college? And is it avoidable other than having a support net? Oh, it's a great question.
Great question.
Most common mistake. I would say the most common mistake is not becoming integrated into the school and working with the peers. Not all their peers or veteran teachers are going to welcome you with a warm embrace. Don't expect that. But if they can find one that can serve and work with, maybe not their assigned mentor, but if they're in elementary, maybe a teacher that has been there and can connect with them, become their friend and then become part of that community. The other thing is they have to remember, and this is a hard one, is that you're dealing with students. You're not dealing with friends. And if you're a secondary ed major, that's exceptionally tough because you're not that far from high school. And if you're an elementary major, a lot of times at that time, you maybe want to become so friendly or simple. You have to remember they're students. The other thing is your parents. They're going to have to deal with parents, and parents today. There was used to be the term helicopter parents, and I think the new one is bulldozer, where they push everything through. So you're going to have to deal with parents, and you're probably going to get hollered at a few times or questioned, but don't take it all personally. It's a job. So and yeah. If you can find somebody that, whether it's your assigned mentor, remember the assigned mentor a lot of times is in the program, they may not be your best friend, but try to buddy up with someone that's going through the same thing as you and you can plan with and work with and connect. Because the Seton Hall education majors, and what's really cool is they often become very tight as almost like a cohort. And then when they get out in the field, I lose that cohort connection. And it's a hard transition. Did that help, Tracy and Peter?
That was excellent. Thank you very much. That really did help a lot. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you. Come on, give me another question. How are the Mets going to do? I don't know. They're okay.
I have a question that I received from a parent that was unable to attend. But I think you touched upon in regards to the 4+2 program. But can you share a quick update on the expansion and the renewal of the college's graduate programs?
Yeah, great. So what's interesting with our graduate program, so ed leadership is the next track. In fact, one of our leadership students, Katie Branigan, who went through with Sarah, you may have heard about her, came into my office and said, she had a 4+2 for speech, and she goes, I don't want to do speech now. I said, well, what do you want to do? She goes, I'm going to move. She's from Long Island. I'm going to go home. And then all through our discussion, she said, I think I want to get my supervisor certificate and then perhaps a principal certificate. And that's in ed leadership. Now, what's interesting, a supervisor certificate means you're a curriculum supervisor. And if you read the ads, you have to be certified. You have to have a master's, 3 years of teaching, and take what is 4 classes, and you automatically apply and get the supervisor cert. That's a great next transition to go into ed leadership. It fits in all of our graduate programs. We also have what we call 4+2 goes in, they become speech therapists. We also have graduate programs in media specialist, which as of now is looking at about a 9 to 10% growth in New Jersey in the next few years. It used to be called school library media specialist. The term library scares people off because they just think that they're going to have glasses with a chain around their neck and file books. No, the media specialist today can do a lot of things in a district. And probably when your kids were in high school or elementary school, they had a media specialist. There is a shortage. They can't find certified media specialists. In fact, you can start that program once you get 6 credits under your belt. You can be an emergency hire. That's how short they are for media specialists, and they start anywhere between 60 and 75,000 a year. Not a bad job, and I have people that transition into that, and it's you do a lot of tech things. It's fun. So if they like tech, that's a certification. There is no praxis exam. There is no exam at all. You just take your coursework and apply. And of course, we have our principals and superintendent degrees also for people come in. What I'm finding now is a lot of students who have graduated and say maybe worked for 3 years are now coming back and getting into the master's program for principal certification. Which, when I went to school, the principal, maybe because I was younger, but they always seemed like the old wizened owl, right? No, they're coming 3 years out of school. They're going in and becoming principals and becoming school leaders, which is cool. And that's another avenue to take. We have again, if you're from our place and you're in a Catholic school, it's 50% off. Most of those programs are all offered at discounts at Seton Hall of some way. But that's another thing to consider, a career as a school leader. I had people today, I've talked to students and alums that say, I never want to be a school leader. And then I have, one of my faculty member, which your child may have had, Desiree Testa, who's from Hillsborough, who's amazing, went through our program, is a social studies teacher, holds her media specialist, is a supervisor, and she's going for her principal cert. And Desiree's in her mid-30s. So it's like a lot of stuff already. I mean, and she's setting herself up for a career amazing. And she's really, if your child has had her, she is an amazing individual to have. She was featured in our Seton Hall magazine that came out in the fall. There was an article on it. That's her. She's one of the alums in there. So yeah, I'm proud of her. In fact, all 4 of the students in that magazine I had as students at one point in the time. So yeah, those are options that are there. That's a great question, Sandro. We have a good ed leadership program. We also have, by the way, this is my other track, and I have to throw this out there for Laura because she wanted to ask. You can take your degree, and what we're doing now is we're seeing some education majors go on for school counseling. So, in fact, we've had 3 who graduated recently that are getting admitted into our school counseling program. They want to become the school counselor. And we have a program on that too. So that's actually another avenue that you can do with an education degree, which is kind of cool.
Awesome. And I can't take credit for that question. It was submitted by a parent. So, So I did get another question from a parent also. And so she writes, hello, my daughter will be graduating in May, and she majored in elementary education. We couldn't have been more pleased with the education program at Seton Hall and the support she has received from your faculty team to make her a great teacher. Thank you. But as we only have a few weeks left, will there be any seminars on the practical aspects of actually getting a teaching job and keeping it through tenure? So that's the question.
A great question.
Yeah.
Well, they do have their seminar going on now, which talks about getting jobs and getting experience. It's a good point on what to do to keep it through tenure. And I don't really think we have one on there, but that's not a bad thing to create. That's a great, to whoever wrote that, say thank you. We'll get in there and do that. And again, that comes to engagement with our alums once they get out. Yeah, that's a good point. Something that is lacking that can come out of there. The other thing I also want to stress, now we do certifications through Seton Hall, especially for those that are graduating. So your certification hand documentation, and you can tell those that are seniors, will be processed through Seton Hall. It's quicker. We have a direct connection with the New Jersey Department of Ed. And once you get submitted into the state, usually takes 2 weeks and your certification's back. If they were to apply on their own, it could take as long as 4 months. So please tell your child, if they're graduating, go through our department. We deal with the person. Melissa, and Dr. Connors is my associate dean now that does that. And the other part, that if they go to add on a teaching cert, and I explained this, in middle school, you only need 15 credits in a teachable area and the praxis exam to get a middle school cert. So let's say you have 15 credits in English, you take your middle school praxis, you can add on an English certification to 15 credits. Seton Hall will process your certification for up to a year after you graduate. And if you have a question, you can either email me, Dr. Connors, because we have students add certifications all the time. And let's say, for example, Sandro went to Seton Hall and he's missing 2 history credits, 2 courses, 6 credits. Does he need to take those at Seton Hall? No. Sandro could go and take him at RVCC. He could take him online at Phoenix. And all you got to do is produce that transcript to our office, and we can put it through for you. Those are what you call add-on certifications. Oh, and this is a hidden secret, and don't tell anybody. Okay, Lisa, you don't tell anybody. If your child had a full second major of, say, maybe math, English, social studies, and they do elementary, right? So elementary is K through 6. But they took 30 credits, a full major in English. Guess what? They can add on the K through 12 English certification and become a high school English teacher. All they need to do is take that praxis. Same thing with math, social studies, so forth. Oh, here's the other secret. Don't tell anybody on this one either. Joanne, don't tell anybody. Let's say they're secondary ed, and they realize, oh man, I'm not really digging teaching high school science. They can then go take their elementary praxis because they have their initial cert, and they can become an elementary teacher. It kind of goes both ways. You have to be in your initial cert's going to be your initial cert, but then as you go forward, you can take either or. I've had this over the years happen maybe a handful of times. I had a student who majored in French, decided she did not want to teach French. I'm like, oh my God, your whole second major is French. She goes, no, I want to teach elementary. I said, okay, well, you get your French certification and then you take your elementary praxis. So she's still teaching elementary school today. And she probably doubles as their French teacher for all I know. But those are all little certification tricks that, because not every secondary ed major wants to teach little ones. And not every elementary teacher wants to teach bigger ones, but the options are there. Any of those additional certifications, and all of your children, everyone here on this call, your child will graduate what they call highly qualified.
Return on their investment, right, Joe?
Yep. Highly qualified. We have a question from Colleen. My daughter's in a 4+2. She does not need to take the GRE, correct? If you're in our 4+2 program and she's done all the coursework, I know your daughter, I know the last name, it's an automatic admit into that program. Right? I believe. Yep.
Have you seen a growth in that program, the 4+2, because of the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have seen a growth in the 4+2. It's a good program, speech. You have to really want to be a speech teacher. What I've found is people who study the speech program or do it usually have a history of someone who has needed it in their life, and they want to give back and they want to contribute. There usually is something in there that they want to be that speech teacher, because it's a passionate program. You have to have a calling for it. it's not something that you looked on and say, geez, I think it'd be cool. You have to really have a calling. And what I found when I find students who do it, through conversation, they'll say, oh, I had somebody who needed speech therapy, or yeah, thank you. Or I had someone who just needed help, or my grandfather had a stroke and they worked with him to get his speech back. It's a passion. So it's usually someone in their life that had an issue or needed it, or even themselves, So.
I know we're a little past our time here, but if there's one final question from our parents.
I got another ice cream place.
Thank you, Lisa.
I couldn't resist, Joe. I couldn't resist.
Oh, I always look for a good ice cream place.
She's right on Stangl Road. She also has an ice cream truck, so you can.
Oh, I've been to
invite
the
her
one on
of
Stangl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good too. That's hard ice cream.
Yeah.
Joe, I have an idea for you, maybe because I have Safina on this call, and we could maybe organize an alumni event at the Red Bulls game, maybe in the summer. I know we've done some events for our incoming freshmen, but I think that might be a fun event to engage some of our education alums, and also even, maybe combine the two where we, especially the incoming students from education with our alumni, kind of a send-off reception where something that we do during the summer. But it's just an idea, maybe Safina, we can discuss.
Yeah,
and
I love that idea. Seems like we want
and Sandro, I have
these.
to tell you, Melissa, who I met through your very first reception, is now a junior, and I just saw her the other day. She's amazing, doing well. And I met Melissa at that event down at Red Bull. I met her parents too. It was really good.
That's right. Yeah.
So out here has got a lot of nice areas too. We're back. We have the different connection with Central Jersey, and we have all that. But
Patriots,
the Somerset Patriots.
Patriots.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. They're real. Yeah. No, that would be great with the whole New York, the Yankees and all that. And yeah, that would be awesome.
Easy to
We've
get
done
to.
a number of events there. They do a great job.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for joining this evening with Dean Martinelli. Thank you, Dr. Martinelli, for sharing some wonderful updates and some cool insider information with our parents. And again, I know Joe for almost 8+ years, and he, as you can see, he is passionate about what he does, and especially for our students. So he is a wonderful asset to the university. And again, thank you, Joe, for all that you do for our students and our families and for the university. Appreciate it.
It's a privilege to work with students, and it should be thought of as a privilege to work with students. And I'm lucky enough to have done it for a long time, and it truly is, a wonder. And it's nice to meet parents that aren't complaining. It's good. I get those too. You can call and complain. We're good. We'll talk it through. But you should all be very proud of your children. They're doing great, and I'm very lucky to work with some amazing people. And I met Safina. It's great. I got a new friend. Remember, to affinity and it's
not the last time you'll be hearing from me. I think there's a lot of opportunities for some fun events here.
Yeah, we should do it. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
We'll try to find that information about the event you mentioned at McLuhan's in West Orange, and we'll share that.
I'll have it. If you guys send me your email in this chat,
Joe,
I will invite every one of you to come join us.
Joe, I'll send you a spreadsheet of everyone that attended with their emails, and so you can send that information to them.
Yep, and if you want to come, it's going to be West Orange down by the zoo, and it should be fun. So, and if the Adams are, I'll make sure Sarah comes in. We'll get in there because I think she's on the leadership thing and finishing up, and she's an ambassador. She got all kind of stuff. So it's great.
Yeah. And we just wanted to, again, reiterate the last 4 years for Sarah. I mean, it's amazing the growth that she's gone through. And she even recognizes it herself and all that. And, it's just been wonderful. The opportunities she's had, the student teaching, the the placements that she's had. I mean,
Yep.
she said she only has 2 more weeks, and she said, I'm going to miss my kids so much. And,
Yeah.
she is going on for the 4+2. So, but she really, and even actually, I think, I don't know if she told you, tomorrow she has an interview for a summer job at the Bridgewater Raritan District. So, maybe doing that.
Cool.
Just
And
in the
the
summer.
new superintendent in Branchburg is a Seton Hall graduate
Alum?
of our leadership program.
Perfect.
Good
Perfect.
job.
We'll make sure she knows that. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that's
Thank
another
you
one.
for everything.
Thank you for everything. It's wonderful. Now, enjoy your evening. And if you ever need
Thank you.
anything, please reach out. And it's nice talking with you all. And I hope we had fun.
Yeah, definitely. This was
And thank you
informative.
for
Thank
putting
you,
up
Joe.
with my dad jokes. Okay.
That's fine.
We
Thanks
love
so
them.
much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great
Everyone,
night.
have a
Good
good
night.
night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank
And
you.
Good night.
Good night.
take care.